Well, good morning. Here we are. Welcome, one and all. It is the Garden America show with myself, Bryan Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. We are broadcasting, and may I say it's a privilege to be broadcasting from the palatial John Bagnasco estate, located in beautiful Fallbrook, California, just outside of San Diego, California, actually north of downtown San Diego. And very impressive, John. Thank you for having us in your library. Let's just hope things go well this morning for us in all facets of broadcasting the Garden America show.
You saw the Garden America cartoon this week.
I did a great job, and you gave me center attention.
It was very simple too. It's just your garden buddies standing out in the rain, and you going, "We needed this."
Actually, I looked at the forecast on my phone. Now there's various weather centers you can go to. Some are accurate, some not so. My phone shows rain all week.
Oh yeah,
every day.
Right.
So I guess we can expect a lot of moisture, a lot of rain here in Southern California. And as you mentioned, we need it.
We did, and you know what? The way it started out, I don't know about San Diego, Tiger, but here it's a soft, gentle rain, so it soaks into the ground, and it's not washing stuff away.
And, you know, there is the big talk right now of the Malibu area where they had those wildfires on the hills and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's a very valid concern. But like you say, John, as long as it kind of stays with this kind of steady, soft, that happens, it gives a chance for the earth to absorb it. You know, the drains work properly. And, you know, everything is good. It's when we get those hard rains that it begins to wash down the hillsides.
Hard, erode. Consistent with no let up.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right.
And then long term, too, because, you know, the other thing that happens is, you know, when we get a lot of frequent rains, then it builds.
Finally saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nowhere for it to go.
And that's when it becomes so heavy, and now it starts to, you know, break away.
And that's when trees fall over.
I was going to ask,
when a wind comes up and the ground's
when it's
so soft.
Yeah. And it's funny that when that happens, you see these massive trees, and they fall over,
right?
And then you look at the roots, and you're like, how was that holding up?
Right now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a shallow root system either, does it?
No, I mean,
not if the ground is soft ground,
right?
You know, if you've got a tree that's rooted into rock. That's going to stay there.
It's going to stay.
Yeah.
So is that our tip for the day?
To just plant rocks.
Rooted in rock.
With your trees.
Exactly. Hey, let's welcome our friends on.
Sounds like a good title for a book.
Rooted in rock?
Yeah, Rooted in Rock.
Oh, Rooted in Rock.
Yeah.
There you go. You can have it.
Pick your group.
Let's welcome our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you so much, Stephanie and her crew, keeping us on the air. And very accommodating for them also to play some reruns, some replays when we don't have a show that particular weekend. But we are back live, and again, it's John Bagnasco's house. I like the extra added touch that John added since the last time we were here. 24/7 valet parking.
Oh.
And he's also hired a security guard, which I saw outside, Laszlo, the security guard, who was actually hired to watch out for John's roses.
Oh, goodness.
Seems to be a nice guy, so you've done quite well. Valet parking and Laszlo, the security guard.
I think I don't know if you guys were here since I added the bookend to my, you know, I have a lot of gardening books, which is, you can see behind
Is
us.
there one book in here that's not gardening?
Yeah, I have a whole lot of fantasy books.
Wow, know? Really? That's another show.
And books about dragons and things, so I added that bookend up there.
The dragon bookend?
Yeah, isn't that kind of cool?
I like it. Tassi would love that one. Yeah. That's fun.
That's very
scary. Cool. Do you ever walk in here at night and just get a little creeped out?
I usually turn the light on.
Yeah.
Now, you're also into gargoyles too, right?
No.
I thought you were a gargoyle guy.
No. Gargle is what I like to do after I brush my teeth.
Okay. All right. Well, you learn something new every day. Welcome to the show. Do we have any comments yet, Tiger? People tuning in?
Yeah, we've got, our buddy in Pakistan.
Hastam is tuned in.
Yeah. Hope everything's going well out there. Now, trying to think, is their weather's probably a little colder than ours?
I assume, yeah.
You know what? We were talking about trees there to try to bring us back on subject. And I got an email this week from John Millar, who is the one who built the ship that's in San Diego Harbor, the Surprise.
Oh, okay.
which I think now is a floating museum, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He runs a bed and breakfast, a historical bed and breakfast in Virginia. And he sent me an article that he wrote on mahogany trees growing in Virginia.
Really?
And mahogany trees, are tropical, right?
Yeah.
And there's no way they would grow. But he was talking about how they had discovered in the 1700s or 1800s that mahogany, like if you build a ship out of oak, the oak's rotted in 25 years. But on mahogany, they found they were good for 100 years. So they crossed the mahogany tree with a little hardier type of mahogany, and they got these trees that they planted. But to harvest mahogany wood takes 100 years to 150 years. And by the time the trees were tall enough,
they stopped building ships out of
no, they
wood.
forgot why they planted. So no one knew. So those trees are still over there. They have, he said they'd cut off some branches to make furniture out of, which is kind of cool. But I never even thought of growing mahogany here.
Is it not supposed to grow or thrive in Virginia?
Well, it's supposed to be a tropical tree.
So it doesn't tolerate the cold.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So what's different? Just the way they crossed it, you said, was something else?
Yeah, I'd have to get more into the article to see. He was talking about there's a Cuban mahogany, there's an American mahogany. I'd have to get into it. Anyway, it was just something I was surprised. Every now and then I get something from a listener or someone tells us something I just never even thought about before.
Well, and I think it just brings us back to reminding us that, all the things that we take for granted because we just assume oak, pine, mahogany, ipe, teak, are such readily available lumber out there. But at one point in time, trade was very difficult. We didn't know how things grew. And in order to get that particular product, you had to go to the place where it was native to and where it was from,
right,
in order to harvest it. It's amazing when you go into Costa Rica. Do you remember driving through Costa Rica and seeing the teak fields that they have planted?
Yeah.
And how that grows, and they talk about the process of growing it there and how many years it takes for them to grow. And it still takes a lot of time, but it grows great there. It's one of the ideal environments for it to grow there. But it's the investment. It's not 100 years, but it's not tomorrow.
I think in the tropics that takes 100 years also.
For mahogany?
Yeah.
Not for teak though. I think remember they were talking about teak was I think like 10 or 12 years or something like that. But mahogany it takes 100 years even there.
There's some crops that are really long like cork.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to plant a cork oak, you're looking at close to about 100 years.
Yep. And it's crazy the way that they do it because it's actually a very, let's say, sustainable practice in the sense of
they're stripping the bark.
They're stripping the bark. Right. Where a tree for harvesting you cut down the tree and you got to plant a new one. Right. For cork, even though it's a long practice, what they do is they strip the bark, and then they have to wait for that bark to grow again. But they don't kill the tree, which is nice because the bark grows again. And like you're saying, it takes 80 years for the bark to grow again, and then you can strip the bark again. But at least they're not cutting down the tree like some of the stuff that we have to do.
Destroying it.
Yeah.
Cork oaks do really well in California.
They love it here.
Yeah.
Bruce and Sharon had one, right? On their driveway?
Well,
next to their driveway?
Yeah, you remember that Sharon told us that's the reason they bought that house.
Because Bruce liked the cork tree.
They pulled up and Bruce saw the cork tree with a branch coming over the driveway and he said, "We're buying this house."
You know what? I understand that. I get that. That's something that, do we see a lot of cork trees?
We do, but you don't recognize it.
Yeah, I
will say, as John mentioned, cork oaks actually do really well here in Southern California, and a lot of people do have them in landscapes, and they don't even know that they have them because they look like an oak tree. They look like a live oak
until
tree.
They get to be really old.
Yeah. And
but
the leaf is similar.
I remember at Bruce and Sharon's, you could go up and you could push on the bark.
Yes, it was soft. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. We've got about 30 seconds until the first break here. We've got John's quote of the week. We're going to go in a lot of directions today. Again, a lot of rain here in San Diego, Southern California, which is big news to us. Usually front page news when it rains and people can't drive and they're sliding off the roads and so on and so forth. So we're going to take a break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Our fine sponsors, of course, Fertilome, our major sponsor here. Just joining us, we're broadcasting from John's Library in Fallbrook, California. Do stay with us. I'm Bryan Main. John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox, back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All right, we are back after that break. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. It is Garden America. Thank you for joining us. I see all the familiar names. A few new people pop up now and then, John. And we're going to take your questions, your comments. We've got the quote of the week, and hopefully you did get the newsletter this week. And every week, regardless of whether we're on the air or not, the newsletter comes your way.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine.
Yeah, rain or shine.
Speaking of newsletter.
Yeah, Veronica. What did she say?
Veronica said the news. John wants me to read it because she.
Right. Yeah, because
the newsletter was great. Wow, that 1,000-year rose that 1,000-year rose history was fabulous. I love Tanya's coals of the bee on salvia was cool.
Oh yeah, Tanya, the picture of the bee. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Robin, that view is lovely. Beth's Maria, Elena, roses are gorgeous. Thank you all for sharing. Great newsletter. Lots of great articles that John puts in, stories. I was busy in the beginning. Did we already do quote of the week?
No, we haven't yet.
Okay, I was going to say I don't think we heard that. So
however, we have mentioned so many poignant things. You would have thought that there was a quote in there.
Well, but I like the quote of the week this week. Not that I don't like it every week, but
some weeks they hit you a little different.
John, like he was kind of saying, hit the newsletter right with the timing. Meaning the what's happening today with the rain and the season and stuff, and the news and the quote of the week I thought was right on with
John. Never falls too far behind pop culture. That's for sure.
Well, now that you built it up, the quote is, "The leaves fall, the wind blows, and the farm country slowly changes from the summer cottons into its winter wools." And
I do feel today truly does mark that change for Southern California. After this, I don't think we're going to get... I mean, we might get a sunny, warm day, but it's...
Highs next week in the high 50s, low 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I like. Let me put that robe on again. Give me those warm, fuzzy slippers.
Well, you pointed out earlier that it came after a 90-degree day.
Yeah.
So it feels more like a change.
Yeah.
It wasn't gradual.
No.
It was literally overnight.
Yeah.
Literally overnight.
Let me see here. Hastam. Mahogany is a new plant here in Pakistan.
Ah.
Look at that.
And nursery community, few nurserymen have imported their seed from India and other tropical countries. Let's see their future in Pakistan and their standard of wood. But Pakistani social media nurserymen are highlighting it and attracting their customers to buy and plant it. So they're finding it grows there. They're bringing it in. They're giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see the long-term results from it. It might grow for a while, and then,
I won't. You might.
Yeah.
Well, how many years are we talking?
I mean,
It'd
from
take
seed,
like 100 years.
Yeah, from seed, it would take. Yeah, like you said.
I don't think you're not going to make it either. I'm sorry to say.
No.
But there are different species of mahogany, so maybe there are some faster-growing ones.
But I will say, and this is a big thing with lumber. Is they're talking about the difference in wood today. As far as, we tend to grow wood a little bit quicker. We've talked about this before with tomatoes, when you have rapid growth on tomatoes, how the plant actually reacts and how it's a weaker plant and, not as good.
Right.
And that's the same with lumber. They're really forcing these trees to grow quicker than they should. And then the lumber is not as strong as it once was. And
California found that out with the eucalyptus, right?
Yeah.
Remember they thought that would be, they were planted originally for the lumber industry.
Exactly. And just because it's a fast-growing tree doesn't mean that wood is going to turn into something better.
Isn't that the same reasoning that we talked about when you have plants that have accelerated growth the same way that's not their norm, and how the cell walls become thin?
Oh, yeah. Then you get, well, in woody plants, you have weak wood.
Right.
Right. But
nobody wants weak wood.
No, that's horrible. You pointed out something that I never thought about before. Everybody always talks about lumberjacks, but today, shouldn't there be lumberjills?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there aren't?
No, I haven't heard of any.
Well, there you go, ladies. It looks like a job opening for lumberjills.
Lumberjills. I like
You're
it.
right.
A lot of people are pointing that out. Tiger, you were talking about the 1,000-year-old tree.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian, you mentioned
when
you came in this morning to me that you really liked it.
Yeah, I liked the picture. I liked everything about the article.
But, yeah, occasionally you'll get a question, Tiger, like, how long does this plant live?
Right.
So that 1,000-year-old rose tree not only lived and thrived, but survived some wars. It had been bombed and still came up.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were touring England and we were touring some of the grounds of those estates, and they were saying, this oak tree is probably, 800 years old. This oak tree's and you're thinking the kings and queens that have walked under that tree, or the war that happened in front of that castle, and it's really kind of puts in perspective plants, because they don't respond quickly as we think that they would, but they're very sturdy, and it's kind of a neat thing.
Didn't we see olive trees in France?
Or 1,000 years old.
1,000 years old, right next to the Roman reservoir, right?
Yeah.
And don't they take cuttings from those to create new, because they feel like that tree kind of has something special about it?
What's the name of the company in the United States that sells historical trees?
Ooh, I know what you're trying to say, but I can't.
Yeah, it would be. At one point, they had a tree that was from Sherwood Forest,
right?
And you could plant this tree in your yard that came from a cutting of a tree in Sherwood Forest in England, or.
That sounds very Robin Hoodish.
Yeah.
Or of a fruit tree.
Yeah.
This fruit tree was known for this, or for
being
in this story.
Johnny Appleseed. This was from a tree that Johnny Appleseed planted.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that. It's something about heritage or historical trees.
Yeah.
But I was going to make a point with that. Now,
but we were talking about the olives, because I feel a lot of times olives and grapes, those companies, they pride themselves on having a thing about that olive tree, about that grape. And so therefore, when you get a cutting from that tree, now you can say, this olive has this particular, growth rate characteristic or whatever. And it's the only one because that's the only tree that has it. And a lot of old vineyards would have their mother stock grape plant that they would take the cuttings from to produce more of those grapes, but that mother stock plant that they had was protected, and they always tried to keep that one safe. There was a Keanu Reeves movie, I feel, about that, wasn't there?
Keanu Reeves,
saving
one, like a grape. Like there was a grape vineyard, and there was a fire, and they were so worried about this one grape. No. No,
you know what?
I'll find out.
That's
the listeners will know.
If it wasn't The Matrix, I don't know what it was.
That's a great time to go into our next commercial break on Biz Talk Radio.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of segment number 2 here. Garden America, John Begnasco's house, Fallbrook, San Diego, California. Rainy weather, we're loving it. Hope you're doing well. We're going to take a break. I'm Bryan Main. John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox, back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Well, guess what? We are back from that break. We hope you had a good break. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, thank you to all the regulars who are tuned in. And, those that are just joining us, if you're a new listener, if you're a new viewer, we appreciate it. It is Garden America. Got a great background. I mean, I'm looking at the monitor and all those books.
We need the fireplace going, John.
Oh, yeah.
I can turn that on.
Yeah, exactly. He's got
cold?
my...
And bring out your pipe and slippers.
Yeah, exactly.
I always used to want to smoke a pipe. I never did.
They smelled so good, right?
Yeah,
They did, yeah.
right. And I would read books like Tolkien.
There you go.
And,
While you're
the
got your
hobbits
pipe.
smoking pipes or
Yeah.
wizards smoking pipes. And I had an uncle that we'd go over to his house and always had the pipe smoke smell.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a place in Old Town that does tobacco.
Yes.
And I loved walking into that shop.
smell, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when I was in high school, a buddy of mine and I, we kind of got on the pipe kick, and you could buy like cherry flavored tobacco, all that kind of stuff. And it really, I mean, what were we doing? High school kids don't look good smoking pipes. Now I'm talking about tobacco.
No,
I'm talking about
true.
I'm talking about tobacco.
Oh,
But
yeah.
But yeah,
Sorry.
that was, and I think I got a corncob pipe one time.
Oh, yeah.
I went through a hillbilly phase.
That's awesome.
For about a month or so. What do you got?
I need John to address this because John Livingston wrote a message and, hey, John, did you get the 1954 Rose Society annual I sent you? Now that I see your library, you probably already had it. And yes, I want to make sure it did come to me, and I did give it to you.
Yes,
so
you did. And matter of fact, you gave it to me at the auction.
Yeah.
The Rose auction, which was, a couple weeks ago?
2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did get it. Yeah, thank you, John.
That's awesome that he thought of you. He found that
I
he found that
appreciate
perusing the racks of used books, and just whenever you, to all of our listeners, whenever you are looking at old used books, if there's a garden book, A, there's a really good chance John has it. B, hey, you never know. It could be the one that he's missing.
So now, speaking of that, so the house was built a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. When this room was finished and it was all blank, bare, nothing in it, then you brought your books in little by little. And I assume you did it all by yourself?
Bringing them in?
Yeah,
and
he doesn't trust anyone else.
It looks like it took you how long to put them all up where you wanted
them? Do you
them?
remember the? I don't know if you guys remember my old house, but I
to
had
some degree
an office, and it had bookshelves in there bookcases that we had got from Costco, I think. Mm-hmm. And the books there were all arranged by subject matter.
Okay.
When we moved and we lived in a trailer here for 2 years, so we had storage. I set those bookshelves up in storage and put the books in the storage the way that they were supposed to be. Oh. So when we moved stuff out of storage, it was the same thing. They came back the way that they had gone in.
Yeah.
The difference was in my old house, not only did I have the office filled with books, I had one of the spare bedrooms filled with books and the garage filled with books, so they were everywhere.
So now they're all in here.
Now they're pretty much all in here, yeah. I even have room for more.
I mean, we don't have a camera behind us because there's actually a lot of books in front of us, too. Yeah. So the people watching are seeing just a fraction, actually, because over to the left, to the center, to the right, there's books everywhere. The books on, look at the books almost on the ceiling, hanging
books
from the
to
ceiling.
the right of me, books
to the left of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for people that have been following this show for a while, this isn't the first time we've done a show in the library. And when we did our first show in the library, you were not done putting the books away.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't remember
and you
that.
still had room. And even as we've come through the years of coming up here, you had room. And I'm not seeing much room left.
No, you're done.
There's like one corner up there. Maybe if we take away this little statue and make some room up there.
You got to have the occasional knick-knack statues. You can't all be books.
No?
There's a few
I think so. At least I would.
There's a few collectibles in here that are mine. Shannon likes to decorate a little, so some of the stuff is hers. But like that terracotta fruit bowl up there,
yes,
is from Italy.
Oh.
And the people who used to make those are no longer living.
Okay.
So those will never be made again.
Just like the penny.
It's just like the penny, except
yeah.
That one was a pretty penny.
Yeah.
When we got that years ago, actually, they were for sale for, I think, $2,000.
Wow.
And that was years ago, and I didn't pay for it. I got it free because back then we had Garden Compass,
Right. Yes.
and we had an advertiser in the magazine who was selling the last of those, and they gave me one as a gift.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which was,
You know what sticks out to me? That huge book, The Quest for the Black Rose.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that one.
I mean, that
before.
takes 2 or 3 people to hold that book up and read it.
I never even opened it.
Yeah.
I should put that terracotta fruit bowl on the table here so people can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll move it. I'll move it during the break.
Okay.
You've
good idea.
never opened up that book?
No. Can't you see it covered?
Well, you're not a quester, are you?
No. There's some things I haven't opened up there in their original packing.
I'll move the cameras around in a little bit to show. There's a few questions we should probably get back
Yeah, let's get to the questions. We got about 4 minutes until the next break.
We're going to pair this one up.
Okay.
Daisy and, let's see here, Veronica. Okay, Veronica, I know you've covered this before, but what can I do to get rid of the black sooty mold on my Meyer lemon? And then Daisy is, and how do we prevent the lemons from splitting after all the rain? We will get more here in the Bay Area. So the black sooty mold on a citrus tree, orange, lemon, lime, is usually due to the, sucking insects that are on it, whether it be scale, aphids, whitefly. So you want to start there first, getting rid of the bugs. Scale is actually pretty hard to identify on a lot of citrus because they're on the stems, and they look like the stem. So a lot of people don't realize their whole plant is covered with scale until they really get into there and look at the stems.
Yeah.
Aphids and whitefly and mealybug, a little easier to identify. But if you solve that, you can solve the sooty mold problem. And the sooty mold problem can also just be wash it off a lot of times, right? Like a little soapy water, wash it off.
Well, you recommended, because I had it on my palm and my ficus, to do your best to wash it off, spray it off, and then apply the spinosad soap.
Yes.
Which I've done. And I've had great success with the ficus.
Yeah.
The palm's a little bit more stubborn. I mean, it's black. In fact, it's so bad that the pot itself is black. Some of the areas are black.
Yeah. It'll
so
drop. Yep.
You gotta stay on top of it because it can get ahead of you real quick.
Basically, what Tiger's saying is that the sooty mold's not a problem at all. It's just something that grows in the secretion of insects.
Yeah.
So you want to take care of the insects. And on citrus, one of the easiest things for scale is a dormant oil, right? Or a citrus oil.
Yeah.
Or
an oil spray.
An oil spray. Some spinosades have oil in it, don't they?
They do.
So that'll take care of it. Yeah. So this is definitely the time of year to do it. As far as the citrus splitting.
Yeah, from the they absorb. We've talked about this before. They absorb the water so quickly that the rind on the fruit breaks open.
What about after the first few rains? I don't know this. The thought's just coming into my head. But what if you put tarps under the tree? So there wasn't any more excess water?
Excess water, yeah.
Now, can hot and cold split them as well? Hot weather, cold weather, back and forth? If it's hot, then it's cold, then it's hot?
We've talked about that too. The splitting of the rind has to do with the plant getting like so much water in it that
no
it
place
can't
to
keep
go.
up.
But it's
and
not,
also the growth.
Tiger, do you think it's too much water continually, or do you think it's all of a sudden? For instance, if you weren't watering the citrus and you were keeping it dry, and then all of a sudden you got all this water, the tree couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
But if it had been, like if we have these rains coming up now and, it's raining for a week.
Slow and steady?
Yeah. Do you think,
I think it's
that
all
would
of a
make
sudden.
a difference?
I think it is all of a sudden. I think you're right. Like, because, if you put water on a plant and it grows naturally, the rind can keep up with it. It's the sudden changes. Kind of like what, Bryan was also mentioning with the sudden temperature changes. Sometimes, if it's cool and all of a sudden it warms up,
right,
it grows so fast, the heat, that makes this change. I think before any of this, and what you mentioned, like reactionary, like you're saying, trying to get the water to not go to the base of the plant, whether it's tarp it, get some drainage away from it, whatever it is, but being more proactive, using a good amending fertilizer, organic fertilizer in the soil, number one, is going to make the soil more friendly in drainage, and number two, the plant's going to have naturally the ability to suck up that water and nutrients.
It is break time for Biz Talk Radio. Quicker break on Facebook Live. We're going to come back. We got one more segment. If you are tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, do stay with us. This is Garden America. Okay, we are back. And for those on Biz Talk Radio, this is the final segment of hour number 1. 2 hours nationally on Biz Talk Radio. News coming up top of the hour. We come back at 6 minutes after. Does not apply at all to our Facebook Live viewers and listeners. So we're going to keep right on rolling. And as you can see, we talked about that last segment, John, right? Your
terracotta fruit bowl.
Terracotta fruit bowl, and there it is.
Isn't that cool?
And to point out something regarding this, too, for those of you that have never worked with clay before, terracotta is not an easy thing to sculpt.
Right.
There's a lot of clays out there that they can sculpt and they make things out of.
It's not as forgiving?
It's not. And so this is very impressive.
And the detail on it just amazes me. I mean, you've got a pomegranate split open with the seeds coming out.
Yeah.
John had asked if I had a copy of Hortus, which is a great reference book, and it made me think of gardening dictionaries.
Oh yeah.
Which people today probably think, I've got Google. Why do I need a dictionary? Or not a dictionary, and I should say an encyclopedia. But believe it or not, there's information in books that's not on the internet.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, and in the book that I just wrote, I had a scene with David Fairchild meeting Queen Liliuokalani, and I had that in the book, and I wanted a little more information, so I Googled it on the internet, and it came back. AI came back and said, There is no evidence that the two of these people ever met.
Whoa.
And I answered back, oh, yeah? What about David Fairchild's book? And I told them where it was from, and I actually gave them a link to a quote. And it said, oh, we apologize. We were wrong. Yes, the two did meet.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the
due diligence.
Encyclopedias. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I think you can go to Abe Books or Amazon, and you can get used copies of encyclopedias pretty cheap now, because people aren't using them anymore.
Sure.
And I have 3 here. 3 different encyclopedias. One is the New York Botanical, right here. It's the New York Botanical Garden Illustrated Encyclopedia of Horticulture. And I have to tell you that has got more information than any book I've ever come across.
Is that Thomas Everett?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've done my homework.
And you can read.
But it was upside down. How could that be?
You can say the alphabet backwards. I'm sure you can read upside down.
You're right.
So anyway, I think there's 10 volumes of it. And when this first came out, each volume was $100.
Each volume?
Each volume. So, $1,000 for the set. And I think they're a lot cheaper now.
When I was a kid, we had something called, they were encyclopedias. The first one was like A through C, and then D, and it was called the Book of Knowledge. And I remember as a kid, there was one of the books had like what the inside of your body looks like. Oh, yeah. It was like you could see the heart and the lungs, and it was in color.
So cool.
And it was so fascinated by all that. The Book of Knowledge. I have no idea what ever happened to those.
So speaking of the Book of Knowledge, not to bring us a little bit back on subject, not too far off subject, John had wrote, one of my Canary Island pines had pine ghost canker. I was told there was no cure and that I would need to cut off the infected parts. Is that true?
Wouldn't you love to tell your doctor that? And say, doctor, you have to cut off any of my limbs?
That used to be the thing, right? Back when you used to go to the doctor, they'd be like, oh, I've got this thing. Like, well, we got to cut off your arm.
I've got pine coast canker, doc. What do I do?
But to answer your question, John, it is true to remove the infected parts in the sense of it's kind of like blight. These diseases, they work their way through trees, and there are affected areas. And if you cut off the affected areas with a clean tool, then it'll stop from going in through the rest of the tree. So, that is the thought process, is that making sure that, your tools are clean, you don't transfer the problem to other parts of the tree when you're trimming, and kind of going from there. Do you have any notes on that,
Clean
John?
your hedge clippers.
I see you.
He's ramping up.
Isn't that a cool name?
I mean, you're born to write a book with that name.
Liberty High.
Right? It's just like if you were born, let's say your parents called you Jeeves.
Yeah.
You're going to be a butler later on in
Exactly.
life.
So anyway, I don't know if anybody's looked up to see what the Encyclopedia of Horticulture from the New York Botanical Gardens are selling for right now, but if you can get one for, I think at one time I saw them for like $25.
Wow.
And they're originally $100. It's really a good deal. Lenore's got cats and dogs around her house.
I saw that.
Oh, because it's raining so hard.
Oh
huh?
yeah.
It's raining cats and dogs.
Did we?
We dropped off for a second, but we are connected again. So
We're okay?
I think it's catching up. It's buffering right now. So if you are catching my voice, you've caught up.
Okay.
But otherwise, it is buffering.
Well, it is almost the end of the first hour.
Yep, that's par for the course, right?
Yeah. This is a Facebook problem that we cannot get away from, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's everything on this end is good.
Yeah.
So
Crazy downpour here too. So I mean, let's talk a little bit about that as far as downpours in the garden.
there's another book title right there.
We mentioned the citrus that they're going to be splitting, or the fruit could be splitting after a big rain. If your garden floods, let's say you have a bed and it just settles and there's a lot of water, it's sitting in there. I mean, do you have anything that you would say to do at the time that could help, in the future? Like not in the future, but like, let's say it's a drought tolerant area and this is going to have a negative effect on those plants. I mean, are you just going to have to wait and see what happens?
Well, you do landscaping. Wouldn't you put French drains in areas like that where you knew it was going to be a problem?
Exactly. If you know it's going to be a problem,
Right.
you can be preventative. You can put in
Right.
French drains. You can slope. You can do different
And you
things.
want to gear your planting towards the type of soils you have too, right?
Right.
If you have real wet clay soils, you don't
We
want to
got to. I'm sorry. We got to dump out and take a break.
All right.
News coming up. Biz Talk Radio. So sorry, running late but sounding great. Back after these messages and news on Biz Talk Radio Facebook Live. Okay, we are back. If you're just joining us on Biz Talk Radio, this is hour number 2. Thank you for joining us. If you were with us last hour, that's even better. 2 hours better than 1, but 1 is better than nothing. Facebook Live, we are back. Bryan Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. And if you are just joining us and looking at all the books in the background, we are broadcasting live from John's library here in Fallbrook, California, north of San Diego, California.
I'm going to take a camera because people have asked to see what's around. If you want to describe, I'll take one of the cameras and show what's going on behind the scenes a little bit,
absolutely.
okay?
So we're going to give you more of a 360 view for those on Facebook Live. Biz Talk Radio, use your imagination. And for those on Facebook Live, Tiger's going to grab one of the cameras and show us around. Yeah, you got to undo it, huh?
Well, this will answer Kevin, our buddy Kevin in Coeur d'Alene's question, because he said he missed the answer on how we arrange the books in the library. In their
subject matter, title?
I have the fiction separated from the gardening books. So they're all in front of us. That's what we're looking at. But then the rest of that's a very small area. The rest of the library is all gardening books, and they're arranged by topic. So behind you, there's books on trees and conifers, and then there's books on cacti and succulents. There's books on landscaping, all in one area. Books on vegetables and herbs.
How about seed books?
Books on seeds, planting seeds. Over my desk, the whole area surrounding the desk, and then these two shelves over here are books on roses. And my oldest rose book, I think, is 1838. I like
The
collecting.
Old Rose Adventurer.
That's not as old as 1838.
But you know what I liked? As soon as I said that, you knew exactly
thought of
where to
me.
look. Well,
Yeah.
you knew where to look. You right there. There it is.
Yeah. So I also mentioned that there were also collectibles in here. There's one that I don't think, now we're off the subject again.
No, that's okay.
But there's one that I don't think Tiger would even know, but I think you would. You see that blue vase up in the corner?
That is a vase, not a vase. Yes.
And it's from 1930, and it's a male version of a shmoo.
I was going to say, is that Grimace?
A male vision of a shrew?
Shmoo.
Oh, a shmoo.
Yeah, remember little Abner?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there were male and female shmoos. They bred quickly, but I don't have the female version, which was a pink bottle.
Okay.
But it was a limited edition, and who would even know what a shmoo
Tiger,
is
maybe
today?
a little more toward you. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. You know what? It's a little too late because Tiger's has set the camera down, but I'm impressed and enamored with that radio that you've got there. The old phonograph type looking radio with a record player and the old speaker horn.
And the record player works on that.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, my son gave me that.
Yeah, why don't you like it?
Why don't I like it?
Yeah, because didn't you say you wanted to give that to me? You'd had enough?
Well, I was going to surprise you, but now that you've seen it, there's no point.
That is right. It's
I'll
very
just
cool.
Keep it.
And you do have a Bible in here. How many versions? King James Version, New American Edition, Contemporary English.
That's has two two translations in it. It has side by side the New International Version with the Message.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Have you ever read the Message? It's kind of
Is that like you read something and then it tells you what you just read?
No, the Message is like us talking, doing a radio show, how we would be talking about, what it is a translation.
Okay.
But it's like modern day English. It's
exactly.
like, here's the words, but it puts it, this is what it meant. It was like them, back then it would be like saying that's cool today.
Yeah. Jesus and the apostles, they hustled down to the beach to look at the seashore.
Not exactly that.
Okay.
But
Daisy has a question.
Yeah.
Regarding fruit tree spraying, how should you time the spraying between the rains? I know we should spray multiple times.
Well, where is Daisy?
Where is Daisy? Like,
Yeah.
where does she live? Or where is the
Yeah.
question?
Well, where does she live? And because Rick in Idaho asked the same question, on when they should spray.
Oh, yeah.
And there's different sprays for different things in different times. California versus a climate that's going to get cold is a big difference. And when I lived in Michigan, we sprayed the trees with a dormant oil to kill overwintering insects, and then also a lime sulfur spray to kill overwintering diseases. Now in California, lime sulfur's been removed from the market, right?
Correct.
So you can't.
And for a long time, it was copper. Remember?
Yeah, which
But they had. I don't see that
the
anymore.
problem with copper is that in California we use lime sulfur to prevent peach leaf curl, and again the timing. If you want to prevent peach leaf curl, the tree has to be sprayed before the flower buds open. Once the flower buds open, the tree's already going to be infected.
Mm-hmm.
But so you need to spray right before that. And they used to say 1 or 2 sprayings, but they also said copper oil at the time, which the last university studies I read said that wasn't effective at all.
Right.
So I think the main reason they sold the copper oil was because they took lime sulfur off the market.
Mm-hmm. So, but in terms of timing, like you say, it has to do with where you are. It's not just about the rain, meaning It's not just about, it rained, I should spray my plants for bugs
Right.
because it's going to rain again. Like you say, it's also the time of year where you
Right.
live, because you could be spraying. I was having this discussion with someone yesterday. There's caterpillars eating their liquid ambers, decimating these liquid amber trees. And, that's bad. And we don't want that to happen. But I'm also looking at it like these liquid
The
ambers
leaves
are going
are
to
gonna
drop their
fall off
leaves
anyway.
in the next month.
Right.
So whatever I spray right now, you know what? I might kill some caterpillars, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the eggs are going to be there in next spring. So I said, a better plan is to know, hey, when these liquid ambers leaf back out again, now let's begin to treat the trees, because it's pointless to spray right now.
Right.
Whether it's rain or not or whatever, it's pointless to spray right now. And so, Daisy, as far as, number one, any spray that you use, you don't ever want it to rain or get washed off,
Right.
usually about 24 hours. So, meaning, in between rains.
Spraying yesterday would not have been a good idea.
Yeah, because
Here
then
in
it would all gotten washed off.
There you go, exactly.
That's a general rule for any pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, is it's got to stay on the plant or what you're treating for 24 hours before you get any kind of washing off or rain. Number two is think about what you're doing as far as timing and the time of year and what you're doing, because there are specific sprays used for specific times of year that help solve your problem. I mean, that's the funny thing about these dormant oil sprays, as John mentioned. People, I go, oh yeah, you wait for all the leaves to fall off and then you spray it. And they're like, what? I just spray all the sticks? And I go, yeah, you just spray all the sticks. That's what you do. And they're like, how does that work? Well, you're being proactive. You're
For the
killing
next
the
growth.
eggs. You're doing all that. Because when the leaves come out, and when John says when the flowers come out, it's too late. It's too late. You've already got the problem. You can't solve the problem, and it's too late. So you got to do it before. So I hope that answered your question, Daisy, regarding that. What's the name of the company we advertise that has all the good gardening products? Thank you, Lenore, for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And Carla right away, Fertilome.
Fertilome, absolutely.
And the beauty behind the Fertilome products is that a lot of them are geared towards independent garden centers, and they gear them for a specific thing.
Right.
So you're using a product that is specific to that. A big problem with a lot of the overall garden sprays is that they just kill everything, and they just you got to be careful with that. So
okay, it is break time once again as we continue here on Garden America. It's great to have you along. Good to see your names. Good to see some new people tuned in as well. Thank you to Biz Talk Radio as well. And speaking of Biz Talk Radio, our major sponsor, Fertilome, and other people who support this show, we are going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio and our fine sponsors here on Garden America. Stay with us. The good news is we are back. The good news is we're still broadcasting Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Good to have you along here from John's Library, Fallbrook, California. We're north of San Diego, but still in, for the most part, San Diego County. A lot of rain. Looks like a whole week of rain here, so that's always exciting and big news for us here in Southern California.
John in Newport Beach is asking a question about daffodils. He's getting ready to plant them, and he said that his don't naturalize.
Oh.
It depends on the type that you put in. For instance, paper whites, I think, are going to naturalize anywhere, right?
I mean, mine are coming up now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And that's the funny thing. You always think of paper whites blooming in the spring or for Christmas. They get forced. But if you plant them, they bloom in the fall.
Yeah.
This time of year.
It's crazy.
In California once they naturalize. And usually the smaller flowering daffodils are going to naturalize more than the big trumpet ones.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
we have trouble with those ones here.
Yeah. Even though they will come back sometimes, the closer to the coast you get, like John's in Newport Beach, he's going to have really mild temperatures. It's going to be a little more difficult.
Yeah, and they get kind of like that floppy leaf growth happen too there that doesn't always turn into like what you're saying, like a flower, like an actual what you want.
Yeah. And John also asked Tiger the difference between daffodil, paper white, and a jonquil. And I guess they're different sizes of the same genus, right?
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So jonquils are basically smaller daffodils.
And then
smaller size flowers.
And then is paperwhite the smallest?
Yeah, paperwhites are big clusters, and they're mostly the white, but there are some yellow paperwhites also.
So it's like paperwhites are like the smallest of the flowers
Right.
with clusters.
Right.
Jonquil is a
Little
larger, but
Yeah.
smaller than a daffodil,
Right.
and usually more singular flowers. And then daffodils are larger flowers, tend to be just 1 to 2 flowers coming off of
Yeah.
it. And do you think that it's kind of true where you'll get paperwhites earlier and then daffodils being the latest? If you were to
there are
put
some
them in a
early
season?
flowering daffodils, but usually the larger the flower, the later bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Not always, but that's a rule of thumb
Yeah.
you could go by.
Okay.
Do
I
you have-
always thought paperwhite, daffodil, jonquil was kind of almost like a regional term. Like some people just knew them of that. Kind of like frangipani, plumeria.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're from some parts of the world, you know as a plumeria as a frangipani. Still the same plant, still plumeria, but you just know it as a different name.
Yeah, usually the rather than saying jonquil, most people say narcissus.
Oh, yeah.
And then paperwhite is a type of narcissus,
narcissus.
but it's basically daffodils versus narcissus.
Okay.
Jonquils are usually shorter plants too, so it's kind of like a subdivision of a narcissus, but not as tall growing.
You know one of my favorite bulbs, Brian?
I know for me it's a tulip. How about you?
Scilla peruviana. You know what those are? The purple. It's kind of like a hyacinth looking.
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I really like those ones. I don't know why. They're
Yeah, I
just
was
one of my
gonna say
favorite
why.
bulbs.
It's
You know.
got a good blue color, which
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
rarely
that's
see
true,
in the
yeah.
garden.
Yeah.
And
So-
they do well here in California.
Yeah, I just think it's unique and different, and like you say, they do well here. And not all bulbs do well here in California because they tend to be things that like a little bit more season.
What about the bulb that they're selling for like $50 a piece, or up to
Where is this? What is this?
$100
Yeah, for
a
what?
piece?
For what?
It's a type of squill, isn't it?
Is it?
You
I
know
don't
the big. I'm trying to think of what it is now, but it's a huge bulb, like
Bigger than an amaryllis bulb?
like 3 times the size of an amaryllis.
Oh my goodness! I'm not familiar with this. I need
And-
to look into it.
And the bloom is comes out on a spike. Is it called? It comes up with a 3 foot to 4 foot bloom spike. I'm sure you've sold them at your nursery, Tiger.
Really?
Well,
He's looking.
Yeah, I
it up.
don't
He's
know.
looking it right now. Looking it up.
giant squill.
And it has the big, like, squiggly foliage. But
Giant squid came up.
yeah, giant squid.
No, that's somebody auto-corrected your spelling on that.
I don't know. And the flower's kind of white.
Yeah, white on a stalk.
Yeah.
What is that? What's the
What's the
botanical name?
Drimia?
No.
No. Giant sea squill? No.
Well, wait, it could be.
Drimia maritima?
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
I think
Drimia. Drimia.
I think it used to be called Urginea. Uriginea. And
let me see.
Drimia could be the new name. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That looks like a fun plant, though. Yeah. It's got a really neat foliage.
And you said
I
the
don't
bulbs
know-
are huge?
I don't know if I've
Oh,
ever
yeah.
sold those. Maybe I have, but I don't know. It's funny. There's a picture of a lady holding one, and like the bulb is the size of her head.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, back to questions. I know there was another one. I got distracted.
No,
with
that's
bulbs.
fine. Here we go.
Lila was pruning roses before it rained, and I cut from Parfume Tropical from the auction.
Oh.
subliminal fruity scent. Subliminal. So it's like it gets in her mind, the fruity scent of it.
This is how my mind smells it.
Yeah, I like that.
Parfum Tropical is, I think, one of Michel Adam's roses from France. He and trying to think of the other French breeder right now that two relatively new French breeders, and they've got phenomenal roses. And that was one we did have at the auction, so I'm glad Lila was able to get that.
Linda, John, I sent you an email asking about issues I'm having with my lilacs. Basically, one is blooming now, and they are looking sickly. They are planted where old lilacs were planted that I thought died of old age. Some sort of lilac disease? ?
All right, hold on to that thought because we have to take a break. Give us pause for thought. A break. Commercials on Biz Talk Radio. Thank you to Fertilome, our major sponsor. Thank you to you for tuning in. It's Garden America. John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, Bryan Main, back after these messages if you're tuned in to Biz Talk Radio. This is Garden America. Okay, two more segments. This one that we're just kicking off is our longer segment, so plenty of time for questions, comments, and more information. And that gave you time to think about that, John, just before the break.
It did. But what was I thinking of? Just remind me. The lilac from Linda.
I'm assuming that these are like real lilacs, not ceanothus lilac.
Oh, no, I'm sure they do. And she lives up in Redding. The one problem lilacs have in parts of California is it just gets so darn hot in the summer. It burns the leaves, and especially in Redding. But she says, Linda is saying the leaves look bad now. Well, they should. They're going to fall off. They go dormant in the winter.
Yeah.
So all the leaves should be falling off, and then they should be blooming again in the spring. I'm not aware of any root diseases on lilacs as long as the soil drains well.
Yeah, and I think kind of like what you hit on, it's not just the foliage sometimes because, a lot of times these plants will have a good amount of foliage. And the other thing that I've experienced is when the sun hits directly the plant itself. I've always, we used to have the Descanso lilacs that we would sell at our nursery in Alpine. And even up there, I'd tell people plant it in the shade a little bit because it always seemed to do better than when people that plant them in the full sun for some of that protection.
Yep. If they could be protected from hot afternoon sun, that would be best. Yeah, I have one on the east side of the house. East? Yes.
Yes, to our left.
Yeah, the east side of the house. And it's called Angel White, which is one of the Descanso hybrids, which, as you know, Bryan, were bred by Dr. Walter Lammertz up at Descanso Gardens.
Friends called him Wally.
Yeah, and he was the one who also bred the Queen Elizabeth Rose.
No, look at him go.
Yeah. No stopping, Wally.
Yeah, nope. Good old Wally.
I'm going to keep on going.
Let's see here.
Oh, I also wanted to mention, because this thought just came to me, that there used to be another gardening show, not ours, that used to tell people to put acid fertilizer around their lilacs. And lilacs are one of the very few plants, not very few, but certainly less so than other groups of plants that are acid lovers. Lilacs prefer an alkaline soil. Mm-hmm. So don't use acid fertilizers around your lilac. That's definitely going to be detrimental. Most soils in California are alkaline to begin with. So
I think that was Bill and Jim's Garden and Wine Show that was professing that. They're no longer on the air.
They did have an excellent adventure, though. Oh, no, that was Ted.
Ted, yeah.
Yeah, he got rid of Jim.
The Garden and Wine Show.
Yeah.
Thanks to the listeners letting us know that my mic was off. Bryan tends to mute me every once in a while.
Were you off? When were you off?
I was off. You blew it, man. All right.
Actually, John and I discussed that prior to.
She said the lilacs had a lot of mildew,
Yeah.
That'll happen. Their leaves are just going to fall.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Tanya, plumeria question. My cutting I got in April has done great. It rooted, had flowers. It's in my greenhouse so I can keep it dry. However, I noticed the trunk branches are looking wrinkled. Is that normal? I'm not watering now, even though it still has leaves. So wrinkling on the trunk or stems of plumerias is kind of normal, but it also could lead you into, like why she's asking the question. It could cause, a problem on a cutting. It probably does mean that it was, it was rotting.
Right.
You were
But her
overwatering.
plant's been growing and blooming all summer.
What?
Her plant's been growing and blooming all summer.
But like as you said, you've had plumerias that have grown and bloomed, and then they just fall over and die.
Yeah, but she's got it in her greenhouse now. I don't think that shriveling's ever a good sign.
No, you don't want shrivel. You want to avoid that. Speaking of that, my plumeria looks like it's wonderful. It looks like it's in its prime.
Tanya's concerned. You're rubbing it in her face right now.
But mine shouldn't look as good as it does right now, should it?
Oh, goodness. Tanya, don't worry. He's not bragging.
I didn't do anything. No, that's what I'm saying. I stopped watering. I've done all the right things, and yet it looks like it's in its prime of life, of its bloom cycle.
I'm wondering how long it's been dry, that you've been letting it go dry, Tanya. I'm thinking that if it was me and it was raining, I would actually stick it out in the rain
and let it
get moist again, then put it back in the greenhouse.
And that's good water too.
Yeah. And then don't water it at all for the next few months, that kind of a thing.
And see if that swells the stems back up.
Yeah, yeah. Because, like you're saying, obviously it's signs that there was a problem. Doesn't mean there always is a problem, but it means there was a problem. And a good way to fix that problem right now is if it's dry, give it a good drink of water. See if it reacts to that. Let it dry out again. If it reacts to that, the solution.
It was just too dry.
Yeah, exactly.
But, usually for the stem to dehydrate like that usually means that it wasn't able to take up water.
Right.
So the roots could be dead.
Yeah. It could have dried out, a couple different
Hard
things.
to say.
Yeah. But it's a waiting time right now because not a lot you can do. When should you plant garlic? From Rick in Idaho. Right? Where's Rick?
Yeah, do they do fall planting on garlic in Idaho, or do they do spring?
I don't know. I know in, Gilroy, in California.
Yeah, but Gilroy doesn't freeze though.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Rick's, doesn't he always talk about how he's in an area that is kind of more mild?
Well, he lives by Gina.
Yeah.
So, my daughter, he's in an area that is the banana belt of Idaho.
Yeah.
But it does, it freezes and it snows.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's something you could Google for your area. When to plant garlic in Boise.
Yeah. I'm just because obviously it matters where you are.
Yeah.
And it can't freeze, right?
Yeah. Here in California, you can plant now, right?
Yeah.
All the way through spring.
What you
Checking
got?
my audio.
What's that?
Tiger's disappearing again.
You're on.
Yeah.
Well, you can't hear yourself unless you're talking, Tiger.
No, but his mic, I've had his mic on the whole time.
I don't see his lips moving.
Are we listening to the rain?
We should have had, we don't have music anymore.
The problem is that there's a delay, so I don't know if I'm talking or not.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, we used to, didn't we?
Well, I was thinking, I don't know if we ever called it that. We always talk about intros.
Intros, and then there was also...
but I started calling them outros in my book.
Outro's fine.
Do they use that term?
Outro, sure. Or what's the other term they use going into a break? I'll think of it. Outro's fine. What's your intro? What's your outro?
Yeah.
Huh?
Have you ever heard that, Tiger?
I was fiddling with other things. Sorry.
Stop fiddling.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about an intro to a song or an intro to a segment, and then when you're leaving the segment, going into a break, you have outro music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, we used to do all that because back then Facebook you couldn't do that. Now it's different. You can play music.
Really?
Well, yeah. If you go on Facebook to make videos and stuff, they've got all these artists that obviously they've worked out some kind of royalty thing with them. So yeah, if we were back in studio doing that, we could play around with the music.
Outside. You hear it?
It is.
Yeah.
And for us to hear it in this house,
I'm looking through the window and I can see your
the truck.
Your
Bouncing
truck
off
out
the
there,
top.
and it's bouncing off the top. Yeah.
Actually, it's bouncing. So it looks like it's almost like coming down from the roof instead of, but you're not even parked under the eaves or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good. Okay, so we've got about a minute here before the next
I
break.
thought you said we were about to take a break.
No, I got about a minute.
All right. Well,
we're always about to. It just depends on how close we are.
Gotcha.
Things frequently break on this show. When we come back from the break, though, I have something I want to talk to Tiger about.
Uh-oh.
Wrinkled trunks?
Yeah.
No, this is about the time of the year and type of crop or type of shrub.
And I would, and
coming into
if we
bloom.
were playing music, I would play "Time of the Season" by the Zombies, but we don't play music. So
Time of the season.
it's the time of the season.
Oh, yeah. I know that song.
He knows it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, it is break time for our friends on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Bryan Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. One more segment coming up. Back after these messages. Yes, I did push your button right there. It's on. Your mic is on. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hey, you made it. If you've hung in there this long, we are right there at the last segment. The last
done.
segment of the show.
Well done.
Well, we're not over. It's not over yet.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the epilogue.
This is well done.
If this was the end of John's book, this would be the epilogue.
All right, John, what's your question about
Oh,
planting?
I wanted to ask is I think we're coming into the beginning of camellia season
Oh, yeah.
because I don't know if they're blooming yet, but don't Sasanqua camellias, which are referred to as sun camellias, sometimes start to bloom right about now?
Yep, yeah.
Or are we a little early?
No. You're right on schedule. This is the time that you want to start looking for your camellias, and the varieties are going to start to bloom. You'll start to see the really neat ones come into nurseries and garden centers, and I really like camellias. I think a lot of people don't like them because they don't bloom often, or they bloom in the winter and not in the spring.
Yeah, but nothing else blooms
plants.
in the winter.
And that's why I think there's such an important plant to add to your landscape.
Yeah.
Because they do add that sense of spring.
And they're evergreen.
And the foliage is nice.
Yeah.
Not a lot of pest problems.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the biggest thing maybe that plagues a camellia? Scale?
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah. But they don't get aphids like normal flowering plants, and they don't get a lot of the other issues. So the only downside I will say to nowadays camellias is a lot of the growers, are not around. So a lot of the cool varieties are difficult to find.
Right.
Nuccios, I don't know if they're done or on their way out still. They've been on their way out. They're like a mattress sales company.
Yeah.
They've had that liquidation sales.
Hey.
Let's see. Oh, Lenore, I lost my camellia.
Check out back, Lenore, under that one tree. Might be there.
Yeah, right?
Carla, I have lots of rose hips not ready to pick. Would you like someone ready?
Yeah, I do too.
Squirrels are eating your camellias. Oh, that's a bummer. Do they go after the buds?
I've never had that problem.
Really?
You don't have squirrels up here, do you?
Yeah, he does.
You have ground squirrel. You have ground squirrels.
Not as many as I used to have.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You've curtailed the onslaught.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. Last week, one night, or one day, I should say, I caught 3 gophers.
One night, you said?
Well, it was during the day, and I put them out for the coyotes to eat at night. But it was
That's nice of you.
I set out 6 traps and got 3 gophers. And 2 were in one area, which really surprised me because, Bryan always says they're territorial.
Yeah.
And usually you only have 1, but these were 2, like the traps were set within 3 feet of each other.
It will never. You can't control. You can only contain.
Are you talking to the gophers?
I mean, it doesn't matter how many gophers you trap and kill. They're all, it's like the ocean. There's always a wave behind each wave.
I'm up to 85.
That's deep.
Mariana Trench?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, goodness.
Hey,
Is it Mariana or Marianas?
The Mariana Trench. Mariana.
Okay.
Mariana Trench. The Bathyscaphe Trieste, 1961. The first two that went down to the bottom of the trench. I forget their names.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Calypso, I thought.
Hey, that's Jacques Cousteau.
Oh.
Or Jacques Cousteau. By
Remember
the way,
where we saw Jacques Cousteau's?
Yeah, it was in France.
It was in
Monaco.
No.
Yeah, the
was
yellow,
it Monaco?
yellow
I
submarine.
thought it was in
right?
Switzerland.
No, I think it was Monaco, just
No, it was
outside.
Switzerland.
Yeah. Speaking of the Mariana Trench, I watched a guy yesterday on YouTube ski down Mount Everest from the summit. No oxygen.
Impressive.
How long can you hold your breath?
Was it real? Was it real?
Yes, it was real. You can only be in that. It's 33% oxygen. So you have you could stand it for they said 8 or 9 hours. But so he skied. And now I'm not talking about real fast.
You'd build up a lot of speed by the time you hit the bottom.
Yeah, no, he was he had to be very careful. He would stop and he would crab crawl a little bit, then go down because there's a lot of rocks and stuff. But it was impressive.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Do you, Tiger?
No, it's on you.
I do as well.
Go home. Type in Mount Everest ski.
I'm sure I could do that right now. I don't even have to go home.
And to prove that it was true, sponsored by Red Bull.
I mean, they do a lot of crazy stuff.
They do all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, just a couple of 2 or 3 minutes here.
Yeah, sorry we're kind of cutting in and out during this last segment. It's kind of
sunspots, even though we can't see the sun.
It's the heavy rain. The heavy rain.
Okay, John. It's John's TV antenna.
He's fixed the rabbit ears, John.
We got about a minute and a half, guys. John, what do you got?
Well, John's not going to be here next week.
2 weeks.
Or the following
week after.
week, right, yeah.
So just Bryan and I.
We'll figure something out. Something will happen.
Something will happen.
Instead of we used to close the show by saying, and we'll see you next week on Garden America. Mm-hmm. I've changed it to we'll see you next time.
Yeah. We're going to be back here at John's house.
Yeah, but without John.
You guys are welcome to. I'll leave the back door open. You can come on in.